first time Daniel noticed the neighbor, it was exactly 2:07 a.m. He knew the time because insomnia had turned his clock into an enemy. Every night, he watched the glowing red numbers crawl forward while his mind replayed memories he didn't want to remember. His wife's laughter, the screech of tires, the phone call that ended everything. That night, the air felt heavier than usual. Daniel lay on his back, staring at the ceiling of his small rented house. The neighborhood was quiet, too quiet. No dogs barking, no distant traffic, just silence, thick and pressing against his ears. Then he felt it, that strange sensation of being watched. Slowly, reluctantly, he turned his head toward the bedroom window. The curtains were slightly open. Across the street, under the pale yellow glow of a flickering streetlight, stood a man. He was positioned on the sidewalk in front of the house, directly opposite Daniel's. A house that had been empty ever since Daniel moved in 3 months ago. The man was tall, unnaturally still, and he was staring directly at Daniel's window. Daniel's heart skipped. "What the hell?" he murmured. The man raised his hand and waved. A slow, deliberate wave, fingers bending stiffly, as if he were unsure how hands worked. Daniel sat up, pulse pounding. The man's face was hard to see, swallowed by shadows, but Daniel could feel the gaze drilling into him. "Creep," Daniel muttered, yanking the curtain shut. He stood there for several seconds, heart hammering, then shook his head. "You're exhausted, that's all." When he peeked again, the street was empty. No man, no movement. Just the abandoned house staring back at him like a dead eye. The second night the neighbor returned. 2:07 a.m. This time Daniel was awake before the clock even changed. The same pressure filled the room, that same suffocating awareness. He didn't want to look, but he did. The man stood in the same spot, same posture, same impossible stillness. Except now, the streetlight flickered violently above him, buzzing like a dying insect. The man waved again. Daniel's stomach twisted. "Okay, nope." He grabbed his phone and snapped a photo. The screen showed the street, the house, but no man. Daniel frowned, his fingers trembling as he lowered the phone and looked again with his own eyes. The man was still there. Daniel swallowed hard. "Hey," he shouted through the glass. "What do you want?" The man didn't respond. He just smiled. The smile was wrong, too wide, stretching across his face like it had been carved there. Then slowly, he lowered his hand and turned. He walked toward the abandoned house and vanished through the front door, without opening it. The door never moved. Daniel didn't sleep at all that night. The third night, Daniel called the police. "There's someone standing outside my house every night," he told the dispatcher. "He just stares." An officer arrived just before 2 a.m., flashlight sweeping the street. "No one here, sir," the officer said. "You sure you're okay?" Daniel nodded, embarrassed. "Yeah, just lack of sleep, I guess." The officer hesitated. "You know that house across the street's been empty a long time, right?" "How long?" Daniel asked. The officer checked his notes. 12 years. Daniel laughed nervously. "Then who's been—" But the officer had already turned away. At 2:07 a.m., Daniel watched from his window. The neighbor appeared, standing closer now, halfway across the street. He didn't wave. He just stared. By the fourth night, the neighbor stood at the edge of Daniel's lawn, streetlight buzzing violently above him, casting broken shadows that twisted unnaturally at his feet. Daniel's hands shook as he locked the door. The neighbor smiled wider. Daniel whispered, "Please go away." The neighbor tilted his head as if listening. Then his mouth opened. No sound came out, but Daniel heard a voice inside his head. "You finally noticed me." Daniel screamed and stumbled back. When he looked again, the neighbor was gone, but muddy footprints led from the sidewalk to Daniel's front door. On the 5th night, Daniel didn't check the window. He sat on his bed, knees pulled to his chest, staring at the door. 2:06 a.m., 2:07 a.m. The lights flickered. A soft knock echoed through the house. Once, twice, 3 times. Daniel held his breath. The knocking stopped. Then a whisper slid through the walls, crawling into his ears. "You waved back." His blood ran cold. A memory surfaced, clear and terrible. The 2nd night, the neighbor had waved, and without thinking, Daniel had waved back. The whisper returned, closer now. "That means I can come closer." The bedroom door creaked. Slowly, painfully, it opened. The neighbor stood in the doorway. His face was finally visible, and Daniel recognized it. It was his own face, but decayed, hollow-eyed, smiling too wide. "You took my place," the neighbor said in Daniel's voice. "Now it's your turn to stand outside." Daniel tried to scream, but the room folded inward like breathing walls. The lights went out.